As we begin preparing for hurricane season, we need to talk about some critical things that we need to consider. And so I have 4 main questions that we would like to consider today as we prepare for the season. Number 1 is, where does my power come from? We'll talk about how we get our power, and so you can understand that. Number 2, what if I have a medical condition? What do I need to do then? Number 3, how does Mount Dora restore our power? And number 4, what about my safety in this? So we'll talk about those four questions as we get into our presentation. So where does my power come from? Well, first of all, in the city of Mount Dora, there are 3 electric utilities that provide service to the citizens of Mount Dora. It's the City of Mount Dora Electric Utility Department is number 1. It's Seco Electric, and then Duke Energy. So they all provide. As you look at the chart, as you see the chart, the pink area is the area that the City of Mount Dora provides service to. And it's within the 441. 441 kind of wraps around the city. And within that 441, the City of Mount Dora provides service. The yellow indicates where Sumter Electric provides power. That's mostly in the country club area and the lakes area, and then the purple area, the Duke Energy provides power out toward 446 and the north part of the service area. So those are the 3 areas that provide power. So any one of those may be your electric service, and they will be the ones responsible for getting your power back on during a hurricane. As we consider how we are fed, I'm going to give you a little bit of lessons on what does our system look like and how does the electric distribution system work. First of all, we have the transmission system. That would be the tall towers that you see along the roadways and so forth. That's your transmission system. It brings lines to the substation. And then we have a substation, and then from that substation, we'll have distribution lines that feed out from the substation. These distribution lines with the 4 wires mainly are called the main feeder lines. And it's important to know those main feeder because those are critical that we get those up first. And so the main feeder lines is the big, the 3 wires lines along the roadways. From those are tapped off that goes into your neighborhood is called the laterals. And those lateral lines will tap off of the main feeder and feed and go to your neighborhoods. From that, you'll have a pole and you'll have a service that will tap off from the pole and go to your house, and that's known as your service. So we have the transmission system, we have the substation. From there, we have our main feeder on the distribution lines, and then our laterals off the distribution lines, and then off those laterals are services that goes directly to your house. So with that, you'll be able to understand as we begin to restore power how that will work with that system. But first of all, let's talk about what if I have medical conditions. If you have medical conditions, you need at least 2 weeks supply of the medical supplies that you'll need in the event of a hurricane. Also, if you're dependent upon electric power, you need to make sure that you can get to a place that's going to have power, that'll have backup generation or some type of uninterrupted power during this time, because we, the electric utility, cannot guarantee you power. You may go to like a shelter that can be assured with backup power, a special needs shelter, or you may actually have to go to the hospital to ensure that you have power. But so you should make sure that you find an alternate place to go if you have medical conditions that need electric power. There's a couple of things that you can register for. Number 1, you can register with the Lake County Special Needs Program, and if you register with that, you will be determined. The county will set you up as a special needs person, and you will be eligible to stay in their special needs shelter. So you do that in advance, and you need to get with the county, and you can go on the website and set up for that. The other piece is the medical alert program that the city offers. This is also offered by Duke Energy, and it's also offered by Sumter Electric Co-op. The medical alert program, some people confuse it. They think that if I'm on that program, then I'm assured that to have power, and that's not the case. what happens with this is it does not guarantee uninterrupted electrical service, or it does not prioritize you, but what it does do is in the event that we have scheduled outages, that you're notified in advance. And so that's what this medical alert system does. Now, it does require a physician certificate in order to get on that program. So how does Mount Dora restore the power? Well, what we do is we prepare from the beginning now in preparation for the hurricane. Once the hurricane comes through, we'll wait it out, and then we start restoring power. And then throughout the restoration process, we're communicating out to the public and what's going on and so forth. When we talk about our response is in our preparation, we're looking at the weather, and we're looking at different aspects of what might happen. We'll actually, in our storm plan, begin when hurricane season starts, May, June time frame, and look at our plans and make sure that our plans are ready and ready to go. On our plans, we are NIMS compliant, the National Incident Management System. So the system that the federal government has set up, the Homeland Security has set up, we are, and FEMA, we're part of those plans, and we're compliant with those plans. We'll do practices on an annual basis that we kind of go through a hurricane scenario and to prepare ourselves. And so that's what we do ahead of the storm. Now, once the storm looks like it's coming, and we're getting ready as we see the storm coming and we see it several days out, we're going to start monitoring things. We're going to start putting that plan into motion, and we're going to activate the plan. And then we're also going to monitor the weather and start monitoring what we can expect and when we can expect the storm to arrive. As we activate it, we'll have the EOC opened up and the Emergency Operations Center. That will be opened up, and we'll look at that. We'll also start looking at possibly bringing extra crews in. Our mutual aid will go out to other utilities from around the nation and start requesting crews to come in and help us. And so all this is done as we begin seeing that the storm looks like it's going to happen. Okay, what happens after the hurricane has hit? Now we're ready to go into storm restoration mode. The first thing we're going to do is determine how much damage we have. So we're going to go out and assess and look at all the different things that we have, the damage that we have, assess that, and then prioritize that and put in priorities to get it back in service. These are some of our priorities that we have from the electric system standpoint. Basically what you want to do is get more people on as quick as possible. So what we're going to work on is the thing that has most impact for the most people to get them back into power. So the first thing we're going to do is our generation. We're going to make sure that we have generation. Right now, Duke Energy serves our generation, and we're going to work with them and our transmission lines to make sure that we have our transmission lines coming into our substation and our generation is up. Then we'll look at our substation, make sure the substation is up and ready to go. And then we're going to go to those main distribution feeders. If you remember when I talked to you about the main distribution feeders along the major roadways, that's where we're going to pick those up and get those up next. Then we're going to move to the laterals. Those are those lines that are going into your subdivisions. And so we're going to go in and start taking those lines and putting those lines back into service. And then finally, the services that go directly to your house. So if you have the wire that goes right to your house, that would be the final step to get those back into power. As far as priorities are concerned for our customers, we look at certain customers have higher priority than others. Of course, the medical facilities are going to be first, hospitals and clinics and critical medical care. That's going to be the first thing we get up. Next, we're going to look at police and fire and other public services that need power to operate and so forth. Then we're going to look at our central communications to help with our communications, make sure that we're able to communicate during this emergency. Wastewater facilities is next. Then the public shelters. Then our commercial customers, and then finally our residential customers. And so that's the order of getting you back to power is through those different types of customers. And then finally, communication. This is very important that we're communicating to you what's going on and what information that we have about the system. One of the critical things that you need to know, if you have an overhead service and you have weatherhead damage. Now, what is a weatherhead? The weatherhead is that piece that the wire is connected to, and then it goes down toward your house. Usually it's on top of your roof or to the side of your house. If you have damage with this issue, similar to this picture here, it is your responsibility to repair. And so before we can connect your power back up, we need to have this repaired and inspected. So it's very important that you do that. That would be right along your house here, where the service comes right to your house. You need to make sure that that's functional and operational. So it's very important that the weatherhead is your responsibility to repair. Finally, what about my safety? What are some of the issues that we have with hurricanes? Number one is never go near down lines. As you see lines are down, do not go near them. Assume that they could be energized, which could be very dangerous for you. So do not go near any down lines, because it's hard to tell whether they're energized or not energized, and it's hard to tell if they're cable or if they're power lines or whatever they may be. So stay away from any lines that are down. Also, check the electrical damage inside your home. Look for frayed wires. Is there smoke going on in the receptacles? Is there sparking or smelling of the insulation? So look for that. If there's any damage found in your house, you need to call an electrician and make sure that you have them to fix things before you turn the power back on. Generator safety, very important. A lot of us will want to use generators while our power is out, but there's a big safety issue with generators that you need to be aware of. Number one, always operate the generator according to manufacturer's rules and guidelines and instructions. Make sure you're operating that. Number two, avoid putting it in indoor places. Avoid putting it in your garage. Make sure it's in a well-ventilated outside area because of carbon monoxide poisoning. So keep that generator outside. Do not bring it in and run it inside, because it can be very dangerous for you. Number three, always make sure you use a licensed electrician if you're going to connect the generator to your house wiring. We would recommend that you plug appliances directly into your generator. But if you are going to connect it to your house wiring, you make sure you get an electrician to do that, because you can energize our lines from your generator, and it's dangerous for our linemen that are working on those power lines. So make sure you get an electrician if you're going to connect it to your wires. One of the things we will do, if we hear a generator, we're going to isolate that house from the power lines. We'll pull the meter and isolate that house and wait till we can tell if the generator is safe for us, or contact the homeowner to make sure that the generator is safe before we'll put you back in power. So it's important that you make sure you keep the generators away from our power lines, because it can cause damage to our linemen. So really that's how we take care of your service during a storm, and we want to make sure that we'll get your power up as quick as possible, but we want to make sure that we do it as safe as possible as well. So thank you for your attention.
When widespread power outages occur, don't worry. We are here to restore power quickly and safely. Here's our process. Once the storm passes and conditions are safe for our workers, we send them out to assess the damage and create a restoration plan. Then we repair damage to facilities such as power plants, power lines, and substations. Once those are operating, we restore power to public safety customers. These include police stations, fire departments, 911 centers, hospitals, water and wastewater facilities, and emergency shelters. After that, we begin repairing damage that will restore power to the greatest number of people in the least amount of time. Finally, we restore small groups and individual customers. If there is damage to your home's electrical components, like the weatherhead, meter can, or riser, you may need to have it repaired by a qualified electrician before we can restore your power. Please know that we won't stop working until everyone has their power back on.